I have felt so demoralized since Sunday night. I always feel much more motivated after I listen to your videos. Thank you. Thank you, Louisa. This is in reference to the Surrender Dems caving on the government shutdown. But I actually want to use it as a launching off point to talk about hope in general, or maybe not in general, to talk about hope specifically. Over on that other social media platform, I get a lot of comments that say, your videos are the only thing keeping me going. I have to watch you every day for my infusion of hope. I appreciate you sharing your optimism, but how is it that you can stay so optimistic? And I know I've talked about this in the past, but I really take up the position of spiteful optimism. My entire mentality is not do not obey in advance. It is fuck you, make me. It is there is no way that I am going to surrender my future, my children's future, my country to the fascists. There's just no option. So any mindset or behavior that would undermine my fuck you, make me mindset, I am not going to take it up. I'm not going to indulge in it. I'm just not. And I understand that level of self-discipline probably says a lot about my pathology and my own childhood trauma. But it's also something that I work really hard to cultivate because there are moments where I get really overwhelmed, especially when I watch ice raid videos. I get very down about the amount of cruelty and evil that exists in this country. And then I also kind of get down on myself because I'm like, how naive was I to think that it was just people in the past or it was people elsewhere who were capable of this kind of evil at this kind of level, that kind of capacity for us to do harm against each other is just as prevalent as it's always been in our history. How sheltered and privileged and naive I was to not have had a better understanding of that, to have been a little bit blindsided. Right, a big part of why it cuts so deep is because I really thought we were better than this as a species. And when those kind of thoughts really start to work on me, I have to engage in my leaf on a stream meditation, right? Where I have that intrusive thought, that really negative thought, that thought that is trying to get me to give up, that demoralizing thought, and I have to pluck it off and I have to put it on a leaf and watch it float away on the stream. I have to choose consciously not to mull over that thought, not to ruminate in that thought and let it have any power over me. And that takes a level of discipline. So I don't want to make it sound like if you feel demoralized, if you have these moments where you're hopeless, that is anything abnormal. I think that's very, very normal. And it's also important to remember that the regime is trying their damnedest to demoralize you. It's not just your own thoughts. It's not just what you're watching is so heartbreaking. It's not just that you are experiencing the collective grief of having so much taken away from us as a nation. It's not just the fact that you are experiencing deprivation and hardship now. It's also that the regime is engaged in a coordinated propaganda attack against you and everybody else who is engaged in resistance. This is psychological warfare, right? The regime cannot win as long as we keep resisting. Their only path to victory is the people laying down and giving up. So their entire strategy is based around threats, fear, intimidation, psychological tactics to demoralize you, to make you comply in advance. If we keep fighting, they cannot win. If we keep defending our democracy, they cannot win. The only way that fascists win is that the people lay down and let them. Mass public resistance that is sustained and coordinated, that is full of hope and also anger, that is what will stop them. So please understand, they're working on you. They're working on you, and it doesn't mean that you are weak. It doesn't mean that your feelings are abnormal or wrong. Your feelings are totally justified, but please understand the regime is trying to amplify those feelings to manipulate you. They're trying to amplify those feelings, exaggerate them, to make your feelings overwhelm facts so that you give up. And we're not going to let that work on us, are we? We're not going to let them win because our mentality is what? It's fuck you, make me. And they can't make us, so they can't win. We're not giving them any victories. We're not handing over anything to them. And going along with that spiteful optimism is the fact that I don't think that hope is actually an emotion. I don't think that hope is tied to a feeling, or rather, hope should not be contingent on how we are feeling, because feelings are fickle things. When our emotions run really big, they will deceive us. When our emotions run really big, they will tell us things that are not true, because our lizard brain, all of our brain, actually, our bodies, our hormones pumping through our bodies, all of that cortisol, all of that adrenaline, is all about getting us to stop engaging in behavior that has escalated our stress, right? This is why we need to work on distress tolerance skills. When we are distressed, everything in our body and our brain is trying to get us to move away from that stimuli that is stressing us out. And unfortunately, living through fascism is like nonstop exposure therapy. I'm really afraid to fly on planes. My anxiety gets really ramped up when I think about flying on a plane, when I book a ticket to fly on a plane, when I get on a plane. This is not me right now. This is me 15 years ago. I'm no longer afraid to fly on planes because I did exposure therapy. I was like, okay, when my anxiety is really high, I'm going to ignore all of that cortisol. I'm going to ignore all of that fight or flight. I'm going to choose to not let my feelings override the choice that I need to make to go get on that airplane and go visit my family in Florida. Distress tolerance is a practice of self-discipline. It takes practice. It takes trying. It takes having those incremental steps where you feel a little bit demoralized and you refuse to give up. You feel a little bit anxious and you lean into the anxiety. And then you're able over time to take on bigger and bigger steps, right? It's not just thinking about flying on an airplane. I can actually go and book the tickets. It's not just booking the tickets. The more I am allowing myself to experience discomfort and anxiety and saying, this is just a feeling. It's not going to run me. This is just a feeling. Feelings are not facts. Feelings are all about trying to get me to reduce my distress. And actually, you know what? My brain and my body are getting really stressed out over something that they don't need to be stressed out over. I can go fly on a plane. All those loud, clunky noises on a plane, that's not actually the plane falling out of the sky. My body doesn't need to freak out over that. Oh, okay. So not only can I book the ticket, now I can pack my suitcase. And yeah, that feels really stressful. I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to go ahead and do that, even though it feels really scary, even though I really want to stop packing and I want to go do anything other than think about flying on a plane or actually flying on a plane. Oh, now that I've packed my bag, okay, now it's time to go to the airport. This feels really, I'm sweaty. I don't feel good. I don't like this. Too fucking bad, body. Too fucking bad, brain. We're getting on a plane. And then eventually I get on the plane, right? And it feels terrible. The whole time it feels terrible. My anxiety is through the roof. My rational brain knows what's happening because I've read about how planes operate, what all the noises mean. But my poor little lizard brain and all my feelings are just trying to run me, trying to get me to get away from the stimuli that is causing stress. But the more I fly on a plane, the less stressful it is. And the more I do it, the more I beat down that anxiety. And the more I move the needle toward hope, toward bravery, toward boldness, toward telling my own lizard brain, my own anxiety, fuck you, make me. I will not let you stop me from engaging in the things that I find meaningful and worthwhile. Yeah, the easier it gets. I'm no longer afraid to fly on planes at all. 15 years ago, it was a whole ordeal, but now it's nothing. And I sort of view fighting fascism like that. We're getting exposure therapy on a daily basis. And because we are immersing ourselves consciously in situations, we are exposing ourselves to news stories, we are doing work that escalates our anxiety, that raises that cortisol, that causes those feelings to say, no, back off, give up, just lay down, pull away from this hard work because it's really scary. Just come back here and hide. Just go hide. We really have to grasp hope as something that is not tied to our feelings. It is a conscious choice. So I don't know if any of this ramble was helpful for anybody else. And I'm so grateful for all of the positive feedback. Y'all, I really, really appreciate it. That keeps me going, right? We feed each other. We feed each other's optimism. We feed each other's hope. And in that spirit, I want to leave you here with a quote. I am reading now for the third time this year, Rebecca Solnit's book, Hope in the Dark. By the way, I found out that she's on Facebook. I think she lives in the Pacific Northwest. She's very active on Facebook. If you need somebody else who's giving you a daily infusion of spiteful optimism, go follow Rebecca on Facebook. But I want to leave you here with a quote from Hope in the Dark, The Untold History of People Power. Yeah, highly recommend. So let me read a little passage from it here. And I hope it is as encouraging and motivating to you as it is to me. Hope is not a lottery ticket you can sit on the sofa and clutch feeling lucky. It is an axe you break down doors with in an emergency. Hope should shove you out the door because it will take everything you have to steer the future away from endless war, from the annihilation of the earth's treasures and the grinding down of the poor and marginal. To hope is to give yourself to the future, and that commitment to the future is what makes the present inhabitable.